Now, do you think that really that every cheder in every school and every class had a pedophile?
Yes.
Nuchem, I disagree.
You can disagree. But
Every single class had a pedophile.
every single class had one. It was a disaster. It was a shame of what went on.
So you're talking about 20 years ago. We're not talking about today.
Talking about
20 years ago, 25 years ago. You're now 70 plus. Now when you're looking back, your life, do you think that you did any mistakes?
In this thing, I did one mistake and I regret it. The mistake is...
All right, guys, good afternoon. We have over here a special guest. How are you, Nuchem?
Fine, Baruch Hashem. Thank you for calling me and inviting me.
Yes, so I know a lot of people want to hear what you have to say, and I think this is the exact time to clarify everything and understand what you're doing, who you are, what are you about.
I grew up in Williamsburg, and I had, like Shlomo Melech, the Nubi says he had a life shemas. He had a heart that used to listen. How can a heart listen? A heart doesn't have ears. But what it means is, if somebody told him a problem, he just wouldn't walk away from it. He would try to see, is there anything that I can do to help
solve
this
the problem.
to solve it or to help it out, whatever. So I used to be the same person in yeshiva, in cheder started.
Where did you learn a cheder?
I learned in Satmar.
Satmar.
Yeah.
Okay.
The boys used to come and complain certain things. They didn't have who to talk to because nobody really cared if they complained about sexual abuse, because according to the Rosh Hashiva, he would call me that I'm a big menuvel.
I don't think any Rosh Hashiva, if you're coming to say that somebody's touching you or stuff like that, that they're going to call you a menevul. I think everybody admits that it can be, you cannot have menevulim in the yeshiva, not teachers and not rabbis and not whatever.
Well, now it's 20 years later, but when I started off, I was the menevul, not the rabbi.
Why were you the menevul?
Because they wanted what they call a clean community. They don't care if it's clean or not. They just didn't want it to be out in the public, that everybody should point the finger. Oh, that cheder, it's no good. That yeshiva is no good. That girls' school is no good.
Do you think that really that every cheder in every school and every class had a pedophile?
Yes.
Nuchem, I disagree.
You can disagree. But
Every single class had a pedophile.
Every single class had one and maybe more than one also.
Okay, go ahead.
And if not, they would borrow out from a higher class. It was a disaster. It was a shame of what went on.
So you're talking about 20 years ago. We're not talking about today.
Talking about
20 years ago. 25 years ago. So let's start how you started off. What did you do? You started opening a hotline. How did you publicize it? How did people know about Nuchem Rosenberg? How did you have? How?
I didn't advertise it any place. It was such a hot-moving hotline that it was unbelievable how people wanted to listen to what I have to say. And I also had all different psychologists, psychiatrists, books, and I would give them information from those books. In other words, if you're involved in pedophilia, it doesn't mean your life is over with. You can still go look for help.
Okay, Hasidische, right?
Hasidische.
Okay.
And until I started off the whole ringamaroo, they said, we don't have any pedophilia whatsoever. You're creating a monster.
Who said that?
Every Rosh Hashiva told me the same. They said, he's creating a monster, which is not happening in our yeshivas or in our schools, and he's trying to move a point.
I think that the image that you gave off to the world and why people are upset is because you went to the media saying that everybody is like that in the whole, every school, every class, every this, and it's not true.
So let's...
Nuchem, we all know that there is issues. You don't think you overdid it?
I didn't overdo it, and I'll explain why to you, because it was that anybody the past 10 or 15 years when I started fighting that got up on a chair and say, you know, Rabbi Rosenberg is right, I'm also a victim. Nobody did that. They all tried to deny it.
Yeah, but you know that victims have an issue always to come forward. Not every victim could come forward.
Not now anymore. That's my basic training that I taught everybody. If you're a victim, it's very unfortunate, but it doesn't mean that you're at fault. Once they learn the difference between being at fault or being responsible...
No, not always it's about having fault. Sometimes people just don't want to go out there, and not in terms of they feel guilty. They just don't want to be out there and they're dealing with it a different way. They go to the therapist or whatever way.
The thing is, they don't go to the therapist either. The therapist will not accept you. The therapist needs, you know, what kind of hourly rate they have. There's nobody here to help. And there's nobody here even that you can go over and tell them, you know, somebody's touching me at night when the yeshiva is closed or when, you know, when they sleep in the dormitories. And all these things, I said, it has to be made in public. And they didn't want. They said, we'll do anything to stop you. I said, okay, we're in a war. It's not a big deal. On the contrary, I did it so nicely. I went to the rabbis. I went to the teachers.
You tried going in a nice way?
I tried 10 years, got no place. So then I told them, listen, if it's war, then it's war, no problem. I'm not afraid to fight a war. Now, I want to explain something to you, a story that happened, and it's very interesting that the people should know about this. When I got married, I lived in a certain building in Williamsburg. After, let's say, 2 or 3 years, somebody comes in there, he rented the basement. Hasidic guy, a Satmar guy with his payers down.
Long payas.
Long payers. He comes over to me. I told him, Shalom Aleichem, I'm a next door neighbor. If you're ever short with anything, come into my house.
Feel comfortable to knock on the door?
Yeah. He said, very good, I appreciate it. He was so happy, his wife was
Just
happy.
a second. Can I get a cup of orange juice, please? Thank you.
Vahi Hayoim, in the middle of a summer day, knocks on my door. He says, Rabbi Nuchem. I asked him, who is this? So he tells me his name. I don't mind giving the name.
No, it's okay. We don't need names.
So I open the door and he sits down and he starts telling me his life history because he just got married about a year before, but he had a history, an emerging history. Anyway, I asked him, what do you do for a living? He says, I drive a truck. Drive a truck? Beautiful. If you drive a truck, I think you should stop your job and you should become a storyteller because the stories that you're telling me, everybody will read it. It makes a lot of sense.
What stories?
He was telling me how he was sexually abused from teachers, not from chaverim, from school children, teachers.
Rebbes.
Rebbes. So one day, a Rebbe tells his mother he was an orphan, but his father got married, so he had a father, but a stepfather. So he tells me that he's doing to me harmful things that he shouldn't be doing.
The rabbis.
The Rebbe, the Manal, the teachers, everybody. Once they found the victim, he was missing a parent or he was missing whatever, they made Shabbos with him. So I said, I hear what you're saying and I'm very hurt and I want to try to help you.
Perfect. You can bring one more. Bring one.
Coca-Cola?
No, just an orange juice.
So I told him, listen, we have to go to the Rabbinical authorities. We have to start to stop this. If this is so infested. Then I had another man who afterwards became the son-in-law of one of the big Rabbunim in Eretz Yisrael.
1 second, you're going from story to story?
Yeah, not just a small.
Okay.
And he used to tell me every morning what's going on at night in the dormitory. It's a disgrace for God and for mankind.
Did you have a personal experience of being molested that you started off such a big fight?
No. The reason why I started off, I'm going to come to it, is because I have a heart to listen to people. The people used to tell me what's going on at night in the dormitories and what's going on in the yeshivas. It bothered me very much because what are we different than anybody off the street? We're Jewish, we're supposed to have certain limitations.
I don't think that molestation has to do with Jewish. I think nobody should be molesting kids or...
That's correct, and especially when touching children, that has nothing to do with being Jewish. It's
Right.
something that is unbelievable. So anyway, so he was threatened off. They told him if he starts with Rabbi Rosenberg, they're going to cut him short.
Who? Who is them?
Exactly who, I don't know.
No, not who, like which community? What was it?
Satmar community.
Told him that if you deal with Nuchem Rosenberg, what does it mean if you deal with him?
If you give him information.
On who did it?
Not only who did it, that what is really going on. People didn't believe.
I don't understand. Nuchem, like with all the respect, it's hard for me to believe that you're saying that they didn't give a fuck, that they didn't care that kids are getting molested. Maybe they wanted to do it in a different way than you, and that makes much more sense, and that makes the picture...
They didn't want to do it at all, because they kept on telling me, everything you're selling us is a lie, it's a blunt lie, and that's it. They weren't interested to verify...
To deal with it?
Or to deal with it, that it is...
So you want to tell me they knew about it, and they were like, okay, let's keep the molesters doing kids?
It's not they don't care. They didn't want to get involved in this. They knew this is the Atlantic Ocean, a lot of waters, nothing is going to stop it. And they didn't want to get involved.
So you started off basically being on the hotline and started, talking about people and names, and you never said names?
I said names later on.
When you're going on a hotline and you're starting to put out names out there, how did you know that it was 100% true.
100% true, nobody can know it.
So you admit that there's not 100% confirmation.
No, nobody has a confirmation of 100%.
Based on what a kid told you, that's how you did it.
Only, and I also had the name of the kid, and he had to be wanted to be questioned, because if they'll say, "Nah, Nuchem Rosenberg said a lie,"
1 second, you spoke to the little kids or to people who already grew up?
to the parents.
To the parents.
Never spoke to
And the parents gave you the names.
They gave me the names in front of the children. It hit the whole community like they never had such a bomb explosion.
Hoe
Because
stieg het met de information? Die is het bekend information van Elton.
ich habe es
Mit der Kind.
genommen und ich habe es gegeben right away for the police. There's a special victim.
Also ich getraut sie, gewoon is gegangen to the police. Nein, ich frage.
Are you
I'm just
kidding?
asking questions.
No way. You know what they would say? That I touched the child. You know what animals you're dealing with?
You're putting a whole community saying they're animals. Maybe you had the
Not
reason
the whole
why.
community, not the whole community's animals. The
Okay.
people who ran this show against pedophilia were animals first class.
So you're not blaming Satmar. You're blaming specific people in Satmar at that point.
Satmar is not just a name, that's all. It's the people.
I'm trying to understand because people are saying that you're shit talking Satmar in the media and you're making us look bad, that everybody's like that, and we spoke about it by the beginning. But what you're saying is you didn't work specifically on a whole community, against the whole community. You tried.
No, I worked about everybody that tried to stop me. I was fighting with everybody. So Satmar happens to be the biggest, and they have what they call Mishmere Satznias, and because of that, you know, they come up to be the front runners.
You 1 second. You agree that they do, the whole communities over there, they do a lot of good things. We agree on that, both of us?
Yeah,
A lot of
good things, sure.
They do 100 of good things. Now, why do you think specifically when it comes to pedophile,
Because
they're so...
well, that's something that touches their private thing. It's their private properties. In other words, we're saying that they are not watching over the children.
What parent you know that they have a rabbi in their son's class that's going to molest the other kids or his? He doesn't. You never know who he's going to touch, and he doesn't care. You're saying he walked away. It's like I don't care what's going to happen.
This is a very, very long conversation. But
That's why we're here.
But the main thing is that you have to understand is when somebody goes out to fight against you, he has a few reasons. Either he's a child molester, he doesn't want to be exposed, or he gets paid. A lot of people got paid off.
By who?
Oh, there's a whole community. The community.
So you think there were rich people out there paying off?
I know, I don't think. When I tell you a statement is what I know firsthand, not that I think.
People who have kids and they went to pay off that you shouldn't take care of pedophiles.
People who had kids in the yeshivas, in the schools, and now they are probably...
And they know that their own kids are around molesters.
Yeah, they know. They didn't
And they don't care. And they're paying it off. Not only they don't care, they're also paying.
That's right. And in every
That's very, very interesting.
This is facts of life. When I started my war, they also said I'm crazy. But now it turns out to be that they're crazy. I'm not crazy.
What happened now?
As times went on, everybody used to say, me too, me too, me too. There's so many people who claim that they were molested. They keep on saying, me too, me too, me too.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that in the community there's more child molestation than in other communities?
I don't know. But if we say it's less, it's not. Because our figures is there's about 1 or 5 children are being molested in schools, and the same by the Goy, and the same as by the Jew.
So you're saying that it's not? That it's by the Hasidic community is exactly the same numbers?
Exactly. Listen, these people have a Yetzer Hara, and these people have a Yetzer Hara. I mean, there's no big difference.
Let me ask you another question. It could be because the way you were saying uncensored and talking like pipik and stuff like that, people maybe didn't want to work with you?
So the thing is that when I used to talk hidden language, I mean, you can see my...
I meant to say hidden language. I mean to say when you
I
went
didn't say
publicly...
pipik, and I didn't say...
No. I heard you. When I was a kid, I used to listen to you, okay? So don't you understand them on a certain point?
No,
why they
not at all. I want to ask you something. God is the holy of the holiest,
okay.
Right? Nothing is higher
okay.
than God.
I agree.
God gave us a Torah. 10 or 15% of the Torah is full of Parshas Achrei, Kedoshim, the story with...
yeah, but when you're 9 years old, we're skipping that Rasha.
No, that was the problem. I used to tell them around that that's your problem because you're skipping and everybody goes around. I remember everybody used to go, what does it
Yeah,
say?
listen, there's one thing I agree is that the knowledge was Maget Fakinder, darf man ein bisschen mehr sein open.
That would be right if a mikveh was not a place where
Everybody's naked.
not only naked, where they they grab children, they do whatever they shouldn't be doing.
I'm not here against you, but I'm here to, I was a mikveh hundreds of times when I was a kid.
Right.
Ich habe kein Mensch gesehen, I never saw child
It
molestation.
depends which mikveh you was.
I went to every mikveh. I went to Deish, to Hooper, to this, to that, to Sapmer, to Rodney. I was all over.
All over doing wrong things.
It doesn't happen every mikveh. It happens, and you need to take care of it, and I understand. But I think this is why I know you don't give a fuck. And I want to point it out again. I know you don't care. I know it doesn't bother you. But in the other way, I want people to understand when they watch the video, why is Nuchem Rosenberg so überschmitzt? Warum haben so viele Menschen getan?
Because I spoke against their leaders. If it wasn't for that...
Ich kann auch reden gegen einen Leader.
No, it's a difference when you talk or I talk. It's a difference if I have a podcast and hundreds of people are listening to it and people go afterwards to the Rosh Hashiva and say, hey, the man is right. The man is right. I didn't say anything that's a lie. So,
but you maybe exaggerated.
You could call it whatever you want.
No, it's not I'm
true.
Calling it.
It's not true because I can be sued also. And I wasn't sued. Why? Because everything that I said...
You backed up?
The proof is in the pudding. I was able to back up everything that I did. And if I mentioned the name, I was able to bring the people, whatever, to law.
So let me ask you a question. You're now 70 plus. Now when you're looking back, your life, you're an older person, you're looking back, do you think that you did any mistakes?
In this thing, I did one mistake and I regret it. The mistake is that I started 20 years too late because everybody was telling me what's going on in mikvahs, and I said, who am I? I'm not the rabbi, I'm not this, I'm not that. Those 20 years could have saved, you know how many children?
When you walk on the street in Williamsburg, mensen schreien op dich?
About 20 years ago, when the war broke out, then they used to scream after me and whatever they did, which I didn't care. But now there's such a respect going on that every time when there's an mikveh problem, they say, if you don't get out, they call Rabbi Rosenberg, and they all disappear.
So debates, what you're saying is that you won.
I won 100% with a golden trophy.
It doesn't, after all the hate, and you still have a lot of hate, which you don't care, I guess, because you feel that you did something, something right and something that needs to be done.
Right. And nobody's willing to do it.
Yeah, that's a dirty job. It's a dirty job, but it's a dirty job. I mean to say, it's very hard to be involved in so much shit.
Right.
It's very hard. Man sitzt in the toilet the ganze Tag and you look for shit.
Right.
Okay? About your wife, how was she with this whole... It's so hard to live, I know what it is, to live in a community, to have... I don't know if your wife agrees with everything you did or not, but the point is, how did she live with it? Having so much people... shit-talking you and on the Gassen and Rosenberg. I remember. Ich denk alles. So
she lives very good with it, and the reason for it is very simple. When you go in the street now, today, nobody attacks a child. Mikveh people who run mikvahs, Rabbonim, say that you cleaned out maybe 20 to 30% of the mikvahs.
You still say there's still 70%?
No.
What do you mean you cleaned out?
I cleaned out the pedophiles. They don't come anymore. The attendance is very low.
So you mean to say you cleaned the entire pedophile industry?
From the mikvahs and from the shuls. But you can't clean them from all over. I mean, there's places where they go to the Bronx and to here, to parks and places that you can't. But there's one thing. A child knows that all what they're doing to you is very harmful and it's very unlawful. And you tell the guy, listen, beat it.
So I wanted to talk to you also about your personal life. You were busy a lot, and I think hours of a day to clean the community and to take care of pedophiles and to whatever. How were you able to work? You're saying you have real estate, you have money, you don't need anybody's money. So how did you work together?
I'm also involved in building mikvahs 40 years that I built mikvahs worldwide without taking money. So
and you helped them building it?
I made the plans and I watch when they pour.
Where did you build mikvahs?
Where not? Show me one state in the United States or in the world which I didn't go there for the mikvah.
That's impressive.
And that's why when they started fighting with me, first they thought they were fighting a devil, but then they found out they're fighting an ordained rabbi. I just gave out the Sefer of Mikvahs, 500 pages, and I have haskumas.
From rabbis? So one second, so this is a good question. You have also a lot of people that support what you did?
Sure. Are you kidding?
I'm very confused because I'm not aware so much, and especially in the last 10 years, I don't know what's going on. But my question is, what kind of rabbis gave you support on what you did?
The Eidach Raiders in Yerushalayim, Rabbi Brandsdorfer, all the big ones. The
And you had their support your entire career, your entire life?
Sure. I had all my life. I had the Rabbonim. There was a story of a person that he went. His daughter needed a cancer operation, whatever, down in Seattle, Washington. So he comes. He tells the rabbi. His wife calls up that it's already 2 months that he's there, and the husband doesn't bother with her, doesn't even touch her. So the rabbi said, let me speak to him. So he says, what kind of nonsense is this? You know, in the time when of need, of distress, the wife needs you more than any time. How do you do such a thing that you don't even bother with her? So he says, Rabbi, I have a problem. I don't know which mikvah is kosher. So this Rabbi Brandsdorfer, he was the biggest in Yerushalayim, one of the biggest. He says, I'll send you a guy, his name is Rabbi Rosenberg. If he'll check it and he'll say it's good, then you should use it.
That's the trust that you had between you and Rabbi Brandsdorfer?
Every rabbi, not only Brandsdorfer. So there's not a mikveh today that's being built, not a mikveh, that they don't call me up for advice, they don't call me up for questions and answers.
Also in the community?
In the community.
I'm talking about Satmar and stuff like that, or?
Sure, when Satmar built their mikveh. Rabban Teitelbaum, when he built his mikveh in Williamsburg, he says they should call only Nuchem Rosenberg. Yeah.
It's a roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster. It's on both sides of the fence.
So at this point, it's already more in terms of your relationship with the community is healthier? The community already more understands in certain things you did?
Today they say if we wouldn't be ashamed, we would take a seat and we would take you out in the middle of the street and dance with you.
That's people, strong people in the community.
Listen, I want to tell you something. I have a graveyard that I bury people. I bury mostly people that nobody wants to accept them because they weren't
religious.
Religious.
Tattoos, whatever.
Tattoos or not, they weren't observant.
Okay.
So they decided that they're not going to accept them. So I made a fight. I raised the roof that these are Jewish people, they need to be buried. I allocated a certain amount in Muncie, in the holiest, the Mottelelicht.
Okay.
I allocated there 20 graves, 30 graves, I don't remember exactly. How many graves do you think I have empty now?
15.
Not 1 square inch. They don't have where to bury their children. In a Jewish graveyard, they don't accept them because they weren't Jewish. And in the Goyish, they don't want to go because
they were Jewish, but they were not, maybe not religious.
Right. So I said, I'm going to make sure that there's going to be a place for them. Now, I have a cousin, his name is Rosenberg also, and he has in someplace in the mountains. They have maybe 500-600 graves. Somebody gave them a donation. And it's half full already. It's not a joke.
No, I understand. No.
So wait. So the people are starting to watch that there was 2 versions. Nuchem Rosenberg is crazy. Nuchem Rosenberg is a liar. And then there's the other one that Nuchem Rosenberg says that children are being molested and then they commit suicide. Okay? So now they're starting to realize that Rabbi Rosenberg was right. I don't have 1 space empty anymore. That's bad as it could be.
That's very bad.
Of course.
And you're telling me that all these cases are from what?
From the new drugs that they're soliciting to children. They give them, it costs $5.
And you think that most of them that were buried was because of child molestation or because
all
of drugs?
Of them
molested? I want to go back to this.
Molested, drug-related, and that's how it started off, and that's how they finished. It's very sad news. If you really want to talk news, we can talk news, but it's going to be as sad as you can imagine.
I hear what you're saying, Nuchem. I agree there's a lot of things that you did good. I also agree that in my opinion, again, everybody has their own opinion, that the way you did things, and I'm not a perfect man. I also make mistakes and I also do things. You somehow don't feel that you made any mistakes in your life, but I'm not here, I'm younger than you and I can't change your opinion.
Let me put you on the right track. By me, everything that I did was only they wanted to fight me. Not now, this goes back 30 years ago.
Okay.
Before the molestation, before anything. I'm a learned rabbi and I used to teach in Besmedrish. They come over, no way, you can't teach anymore, we don't want you. I said, okay, no big deal. They tried to run me out every way, shape, form possible. Why? That was before molestation. Because they felt that I was a threat to them, because I kept on telling them now. You see those people, they come in after we're saying a line here already. A line means the end.
Right, the end.
They're coming and they're walking out with us. Can I know where they davened? Or maybe they don't need to daven.
That's not your business, technically.
It's not my business, but if you're in a community and you have Rabbonim, they should, not me. I never went over to anybody. They should make sure that everybody is placed a good place.
I hear. Any message that you think that you want to give over to the community or anybody who's listening to us?
The message is very simple. Believe me when I say there's molestation going on, when I say it's going on with small children, but you don't even know the age. Trust me, I'm not lying to you. I don't get anything out of this. And the message is, when you send a boy or a girl to school, make sure you know exactly what's happening and what's there and what's being done with them.
Any positive message on the community? If you have already the camera here, any good message about the community? Good things they did. A lot of good things they did.
I'm not here to give positive nor negative.
No, but you came again. We spoke about it. You came here to blame a lot, okay? To say that they did like that and they did like that, whatever. Problem is when you're putting a name out there on a community, a full community, people who do a lot of good things. One second, and you don't mention, and they have fuck ups. They're fucking up. Every community in every place in the world fucks up. They make mistakes. Still, they deserve to get also acknowledged as good people. They don't.
So
they're not.
We're gonna acknowledge them that they have a lot of tzedukah v'chesed. They have a lot of good things.
Helping
Fine.
others, sick people.
Sick people. Everything is true.
The pedophile industry maybe was not the best, and I agree.
It was not the best.
It was far from being the best. And no. Like I mean to say it was bad. Okay, if it makes it 100%. Again, I also think that the way you said it and that everybody, I disagree personally. Again, it's your opinion. That's why you're here to talk your opinion. I think that you overdid it, like every place and every this. It's not true, in my opinion. But I know that you tried fighting something that you believe in. Everybody believes that pedophiles needs to be out of
harm's way.
Exactly. So I appreciate for coming and talking out, and I'm wishing you the best.
Thank you.
And hopefully that in the future you'll be able also to see a lot of more positivity, because to see negative for 30 years is hard.
You can
I don't know.
see a lot of positivity, and I'll explain why.
And guess what? On certain fights you did, I'm happy you did it, because there were certain people need to go to jail.
So now let me explain to you. You said that these people who did whatever. I want to explain something to you. Until I started to get involved in this fight, there was no mishmeres hatznius in Williamsburg. You couldn't go over to somebody saying, listen, at night, somebody haunts me, somebody's doing this to me. In the dormitories and in the girls' schools, you know how many complaints I get from girls? There was not such a thing. Today, whether you believe or not, it's such a clean-up job, the fact that everybody's afraid. What's Rabbi Rosenberg going to say? Rabbi Rosenberg. It served them good, because now they understand that you don't have a free ticket.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Rosenberg, for coming down. And we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.